All right, for section 3 here, point slope form. You have to remember what that form is. It is on the formula chart, so you don't have to like memorize it fully, but recognize which form, the different forms on the formula chart. So the point slope form is when we have y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So the parts in the form you have to know is what the m stands for. M is your slope, and what your x1 and y1 is. This is the coordinates to your point. So what we're going to ask you to do here is plug in those parts, but then this is the part that's really important, is make sure that you can convert to slope-intercept form, because that's the only form we can graph in. So what we would end up doing here is remember to distribute and then add or subtract to solve for y. So we're going to practice using that form. And also, don't forget, you could always go back to your notes. This is when we did this in class. We did the point slope form here. And here's our inside of our notes, plugging in the parts. Okay, so you can refer to your notes to help you as well. So let's go through a couple together. All right, so on our next page here for number 10, since they want you to write the equation in point slope form, so that is the y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. But then it says right here, then convert to slope-intercept form. So that is our y equals mx plus b. Okay, so this is when we have to distribute and solve for y. All right, so what we're going to do first is, hopefully on here we recognize that the negative 4 is the x1 and 7 is the y1. And actually, I'm going to put this on top just because so I can have more room. So this is my x1 and my y1. And then my slope is 3, so that means that my m equals 3. So we take our form, y minus y1, still delaying, m parentheses x minus x1. We're just going to plug in those parts. So the x1 is this negative 4, and we're going to plug it in. We got to remember, when it's negative, we do the opposite. We're going to end up writing as plus. And then there's negative 7 here. Same thing, we do the opposite. We don't do the opposite for our m. The 3 goes where that m is. So when we write this out, we're going to have y, we're going to have plus 7 equals our m, which was 3, parentheses, x plus 4. Okay. And so now, so this is the point slope form. So this is one part of the problem. So I'm going to check for this. And then we're going to check that we convert to slope-intercept form. So to do that, we have to distribute the 3. Okay. So we rewrite now y plus 7 equals 3x, because 3 times x, 3x, and then plus 12, because we have to distribute 3 times that 4 as well. And now we're going to solve for y. So that requires us to subtract 7 on both sides. Y equals our 3x, and this is going to turn into plus 5. And so here is our slope-intercept form, and there's the second thing I'm checking for. Okay, so plug in your points. If you know, understand it, which a lot of you showing that today when we were doing this form with parallel and perpendicular. And then you're going to simplify it, convert it to slope-intercept form. Okay, so hopefully we're starting off with a problem like this. Would be y minus 5 equals the negative 5/3 is my m, so that's in front of the parentheses. And then x, we're not going to do minus a negative 7. That's what I'm saying, we're doing the opposite. So it would be x plus 7, close the parentheses. So this is the first thing we're checking that we're giving you points for. And now we're converting that to slope-intercept form. Okay, so we have to distribute this negative 5/3 to both terms. Now, I don't want this to discourage anyone, so this is why I'm going over this one with you. So y minus 5 equals a negative 5/3 x, and then we have to do negative 5/3 times that 7. So we go to our calculator, negative sign, so down here by this enter, 5/3, arrow to the right, and we're doing times 7, and this is going to give us a fraction answer, and we're going to be okay with that. We're going to keep it because we're still simplifying, and you could have a fraction as your y-intercept. So we're writing that as minus 35/3. Okay, we're still solving for y, so we're going to add the 5 to both sides. We're going to let our calculator do that to simplify it for us. We still will end up, as we look right here, I'm going to my calculator. So we had negative 3/5, so now I'm saying plus 5 to that answer. Our previous answer. That's what this is. ANS is the symbol or abbreviation for answer in the previous line. So when that gets simplified, we got negative 20/3, which is fine. Okay, don't let the fraction confuse you. So we have negative 5/3 x minus 20/3, or 20/3, and that's our final answer. Okay. Now, on this next section here, notice that we do not have the m, okay, versus when they were giving us in the m, or the slope, in the previous equation. So what we have to recognize is first we have to find that m. Where's that? There it is. Using the slope formula, okay? Remember, we're using, this is my x1, y1, x2, y2. So we're plugging in the numbers into the formula. -2 minus a -9 over 4 minus -3. And we're going to get that simplified answer using our calculator. We're just going to do alpha x and put our -2 minus a -9 on top over 4 minus -3. And we're going to get 1 as our slope. Okay, so when we plug that in, this is our slope. And our m is going to be 1. And then the next thing we want is we want to get a point, or use a point, this very first point, for our point slope form. So when I plug this in, I'm going to have y not minus a -9. Remember, if we do the opposite of that sign, so this is really y plus 9 equals the 1 parentheses x plus 3. And then we are distributing and solving for y. So go ahead and see if you can get to that. I'm just going to pause and get started for the. All right, you should have got y equals x minus 6. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do with point slope form, because this next page is part of using point slope, is graphing the equation in point slope. So remember, we kind of did this on our notes. I'm just going to, it was the last section here of notes. So let me go to that. It's such a crazy delay. So you might want to look at this. That's for graphing. Plot the point first, and then find the point and count your slope from that point. Sorry. So we have to maybe remember use the opposite to get that point. So we go to our review here. What we're asking you is first find the point. Remember, if I'm just going to line this up. Okay, so this is in point slope sign. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So you can see who's our x1, who's our y1. Well, our x1 is this plus 2, but we're going to do the opposite of that, so we're going to write -2. Our y1 is this -1, do the opposite of that, so that's plus 1. Our m, is in front of the parentheses, so m equals 3. So we plot the point first, okay? On this, starting at the origin, we move x, so we move to the -3, and then we go up 1 and plot the point. Then we're going to use our slope. Remember, our slope is counting the rise over run. So if our slope is 3, That means 3/1. Write it out always as a fraction so we can count the rising one. That's positive 3, so that's up 3 and to the right 1. So you're going to count up 3 to the right 1, plot the point, and just kind of repeat that. Okay, we can't repeat, we're off the line or off the graph. So I can go in the reverse direction, down 3 to the left 1. And then we're going to use a straight edge to line up our points. And I know this is off a little bit. I'm going to make this smaller. There we go. All right, we're going to line up using our straight edge so our points can go through the point. Okay, so you're going to do the odds here. I'm going to try to stick to the evens. Now, I want to talk about 18 and 19, especially because remember, if this is my point slope point form, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1, so I can see the parts. If I don't have a plus or minus on this left side, hopefully you recognize that means the y is 0. There's nothing here. Our y is 0. Our x here is positive 4. And our m is 2/3. So we're going to start with this point 4, 0, which is the x-intercept. It's right here. It's just that point on x. And now we're going to count up 2 and then to the right 3. So we go up 2 to the right 3, plot the point. I can't repeat that. I'm running out of room. So go in the opposite direction, down 2 to the left 3. And then we're going to use our straight edge to draw a point. I'm just going to use this line tool just to kind of speed it up a little bit. Okay. So try number 19, because same thing. If I don't see the parentheses, that should indicate there's something's missing, which if it's not there, we can use 0 to do that. All right, so that takes care of that section. Thank you for getting that part. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page.